alcoholism. And then some people in the Middle East or North Africa invented distillation, whereby you take something like beer or wine that you made with grains or fruit, respectively. You boil it at a fairly low temperature, such that the water it's below the boiling point of water, which means the alcohol evaporates much faster than water. And then you channel the steam into a column where it can cool down. So what happens is usually boiled water, steam goes up above something and then back down, and then you let it cool on the way down. Then it'll condense and turn into droplets. The droplets will just dribble down and they'll fall in a different container. That is much higher alcohol content. You can, if you distill things as carefully as you can and as completely as you can, you get this stuff. This is 192 proof or 96% alcohol. I think 96.4 is the highest you can get without using special solvents and filters to extract alcohol. Alcohol doesn't readily set on fire, but if I threw this at you and the glass is made of the right material, it will explode. Yes. Not all alcohol is distilled that far, though.
Wait, so does that stuff presumably just tastes like rubbing
alcohol? Yeah, it's like rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is ethanol. It's rubbing alcohol in many countries is drinkable. It would be this stuff, except it's cheaper.
Wow.
In the U.S. and countries that tax alcohol heavily, they mix in a little bit of methanol, which is extremely toxic, just to discourage people from trying to drink it. So that is what pure alcohol tastes like. It's fire water.
Also known as
making liqueurs.
Last year.
What did you do?
Making liqueurs. So,
Oh.
So a lot of things are distilled only partially, like things like whiskeys, cognacs, whiskeys are made from basically the ingredients of beer. Cognacs, brandies are made from the ingredients of wine. Those are generally distilled to maybe 60% alcohol or even lower, and then diluted back even farther to get something like 40%, which is sort of common hard alcohol content. That preserves more of the flavor from the original ingredients. Although the flavors of those things come both from the original ingredients and distilling it carefully, and also from aging. A really wide variety of spirits are aged in oak. It's just sort of a long-standing tradition, so everything tastes kind of like oak. And this is a whole big deal of where your oak comes from and whether your oak previously was used to age in anything else. A lot of Scotch whiskey is aged in containers that previously been used for California wine, not French wine. I don't know why. And that's usually a couple of years at least to really get the flavor out. That's why it's dark colored. If you look at rum or whiskey or something like that, that's not aged, it'll be translucent. What the consequences of the aging are varies. Raw unaged whiskey tastes really weird and kind of awful. It really needs to kind of mellow out and infuse and do shit that it does with time. Raw tequila is honestly more interesting. Like, there are very few occasions where añejo, like expensive old tequila, is actually good better. It's just kind of prestigious, a little bit mellower. Like, if you just want to drink a lot of it, it's kind of easier. But, and then rum and brandy are in between. Like, how much you age it really depends on what coming from and what you want. Just for some examples of things that you can get using just those two things: the flavor of the original starch and the oak. This is Applejack, which is apple brandy. So it's apple cider that's then distilled. This is actually cheap, so I found out just this morning that it's mostly apple cider mixed with some pure alcohol and then distilled. Pure alcohol from just random grains. This is rye whiskey. Old Overcoat American rye. It's made from mostly the grain rye and some other stuff. Wait, did we run the same things?
We also know some.
Okay. There's vodka, which is sort of weird. It's kind of doesn't make sense. What vodka is, you make this stuff, then you add really heavily filtered water. So it's the purest alcohol you can make mixed with very pure water. This makes sense because it makes it very, very much. It gives it a little flavor per alcohol content as you possibly can get. What doesn't make sense though is the fact that people spend lots of money on vodka. Because as long as people are actually doing it right, like not using really weird processes to get it that introduce all kinds of really weird flavors, it should taste exactly the same. Like any vodka you're spending more than about $12 on shouldn't taste any different from any other vodka you're spending more than $12 on. There are occasionally reasons it's not true, but it's like the range of flavor in vodka is way, way, way smaller than anything else. It's just supposed to be alcohol. It's like watered down enough for you to tolerate. Okay, then more interesting things you can do with spirits. The sort of like next step of like weirdness from beer and wine to spirits is infused spirits. Gin is sort of the most common of them. Ouzo is also in that category. Flavored vodka sort of counts. This is what happens when you put flavoring into the alcohol and then distill it. And so the aroma that comes out of that kind of gets infused into it. Gin, it's sort of weird that it's so popular because it's so goddamn complicated. It's juniper berries, mint, coriander, and like 12 other things. This is the only gin I had. It also has cucumber peel, which is one of the more common smells from rose petals. But it's just basically lots of fun smelling things mixed with pure alcohol, so sort of prepared like vodka and then distilled to sort of get rid of the.
That is from Kimbark's liquor. That's really weird.
Yeah, it's they advertise it as being weird. There's an ad campaign that's like, "Are you weird? Drink our gin." It's let me see if it's I've got it in the bottle. Trying to think of the back. This handcrafted gin is sold from proprietary recipe which includes traditional botanicals such as juniper, coriander, and citrus peel. The unexpected infusion of cucumber and rose petals results in a most iconoclastic gin. It's not for it. It's kind of hilariously pretentious. And then kind of like the weirdest thing you can get is liqueurs. Like there's this liqueur is this stuff. Liquor is any spirit. Liqueurs generally are flavored and then sweetened with sugar or honey or something like that, and then have additional flavoring put in after this. And like most of the things you'll see in a liquor store that are like colors or that have sort of like that have like where it's just a specific brand where it's like this brand of thing that like described by any other name. Those are liqueurs. Drambuie is a simple example. It's like I think patented recipe. It is Scotch whiskey, honey, and like cinnamon or something. Yeah, that's better. And like maybe some secret flavors. Alright, cocktails. There's a difference, though it's a fuzzy difference between a mixed drink and a cocktail. A mixed drink is when you have alcohol and you have other things and you put them in a cocktail. A cocktail is traditionally what people would do with weird spirits to make them better, and it's a fairly restricted idea. It is a hard impure spirit like a brandy or a whiskey. Scotch is a kind of simple, and then something to sweeten it to like get rid of one of the reasons that it would taste bad, and something to add some additional flavor to it. Usually that would be bitters, which is a very, very, very strong infused spirit that is mostly just complex flavorings used in very small quantities. If needed, also a diluent. Usually that would just be water or soda water.